What's up, guys? Welcome back to Extra Time, where we go beyond the game and talk about the stories, the people, and everything that shapes soccer. I'm Ellie Walbrook.
And I'm Halle Dixon. Today's episode is really special because we're joined by someone who has completely built a Powerhouse program from the ground up, our head coach, Jen Rockwood.
Coach Jen Rockwood has been at BYU for over two decades, leading the program to national success and developing players at every single level.
Jen, we're so excited to have you. Welcome to Extra Time.
Well, thank you. I was just thinking I've known both of you since you were about 5 or 6 years old. Both of you.
I know you have. Look at us now, building a podcast.
Look at you guys now. You have your own.
So fun.
We're in your office.
You're in my office.
He's taking over, and you two are taking over. And here
I
we
love
are.
it. Hey, Ellie, you said 2 decades. Greg reminded me this year it's been 4 decades.
No, it has not.
Well, kind of it has. I came here to BYU when I was, your age, 18. And then I just started coaching right after that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, for 6 years. So
yeah, because Jen,
30, I'm going on year 38 coaching you guys.
Yeah, and that's why you're a GOAT. That's why we're here.
I have double chins now and lots of wrinkles and I have gray hair.
It's almost like me and Ellie's age combined.
Yep.
Literally.
Yeah, so yeah, you're saying 2 decades.
Well, not 2 decades, 4 decades.
That's right.
Jen
The
looks way
GOAT.
longer. Jen looks way younger than she actually is, so that's why it got me confused.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that was the right thing to say.
Good job, Ellie.
Okay, well, let's dive in a little bit. You've been at BYU for such a long time. You played here, you coached club, and I've seen the program kind of grow into what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
When you first started, what was kind of your vision for the program?
Well, when I first started, I coached the club team. So I graduated in April of 1989 and started coaching that next August. So Ellie, that would be like you graduating and coming back next year and running the team.
Hey, I'm taking over your job, Jen.
Yeah, exactly. And so I, I didn't have any idea that I'd be a coach. I figured when I was younger, I'd be involved in coaching. I did all the sports when I was growing up. I figured I'd be coaching my own kids, or just some youth thing. Never in a million years would I think I would be doing this. And so when I decided to do the club team, I was also coaching high school. So I had 1 year of being a head coach at high school. And that experience is what gave me at least enough confidence to say, okay, maybe I can go back and coach the club team. And then I just kind of did that. And I was a teacher, a full-time teacher. I love doing that at a private school. And then BYU sanctioned our program in 1995. And I'm like, well, I'll apply for it. I don't have any Division I experience, but if I get it, maybe it's my new path and we'll see what happens. And if I don't, I'll just keep teaching and coaching where I was.
Jeez, that's insane.
Then you got it.
And
you're still here.
I got it, and I'm still here.
And look at her now.
In fact,
amazing.
our game field is where I practice as an 18-year-old. So when you think about it, my work area hasn't changed in 40 years, and not many people can say that. So I'm still I always tell people I'm kind of in the twilight zone. I'm in this time warp because I haven't left. And people come and go and come back. And now they have kids in high school and kids going to college. And I'm still kind of doing the same thing at the same place. So I've been extremely fortunate. Not many people have an opportunity to be at the same place this long, especially in today's world.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
That's amazing. So, starting out, what were some of the biggest challenges in those early years in the late 90s trying to build a competitive team? What was that like?
Yeah, so the first years at club were pretty wild because I was the same age as my teammates, right? And they were all my really good friends. So just like Ellie, can you imagine trying to coach and hold your teammates accountable and boss them around a little bit and make them
do this? Yeah.
So
I already listened to you, so not much would change.
Exactly. So I think for me that was kind of the wild part is how do you go from being really good friends that you hang out with and you went through college experience with, and now you're coaching them. But I think that gave me a good perspective from being really young, because I really had to separate my friendship and coaching. And I think that's where for young coaches, it becomes blurry a little bit, because you want to be friends, but you still have to have the coaching mantle. And so sometimes it gets a little tricky. And so for me, I had to really separate that and make a really wide line. And I think that's helped me be as a younger coach to kind of separate myself a little bit from the players. And that's not an easy thing to do, because you enjoy being around them. You want to know the players, you want to get to know them, but at the same time, you can't get too close, because then that coaching and friendship line gets blurred a lot. And I've talked to, and I've seen a lot of younger coaches that's kind of one of the struggles they have when they start coaching, is to find that balance of that line between being a friend and being a coach, and keeping things professional. So I learned that really young.
So hard.
I learned that really young. And I think at first, so when we were sanctioned in 95, after I'd been coaching, the club team 6 years, I just remember walking out on South Field, because before South Field was just a practice field. It was an intramural field. And in 1995, when they sanctioned us, they decided that they were going to turn that into the game field. So I remember that first year kind of going out at night and looking at South Field and just thinking, what in the world have I got myself into? I don't have any clue what I'm doing. Yeah, I just had no clue. And so sometimes you just have to say, look, I might not have experience. I might not know as much as a lot of coaches, but I'm just going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to care as much as I can. And I'm a competitor. And so our team is going to compete and work hard. So we have to work harder than anybody else. And so those are some of the things early on that kind of got me into thinking about coaching philosophy and how does BYU soccer look?
Right. That's awesome. I feel like, okay, at what point in your coaching career did you feel like, okay, I've built something kind of special here? Like, was there a certain moment that you remember?
So I remember our second year, just in our second year of competition, we were in the WAC, so the Western Athletic Conference, and soccer at that time was just being added. So all of the schools were starting to sanction women's soccer Division I. So the WAC was a new conference, and we didn't even have an automatic qualifier for the NCAA tournament. And so I remember our second year, we went 22-1 or 23-1. We were ranked 15th in the country. And I remember our last game, we won the tournament, conference tournament as well. And I remember turning to Chris Watkins and saying, holy cow, we're going to the NCAA tournament in our second year. And we actually didn't, because they only had 32 teams that year. And we hadn't played enough teams that people didn't know anything really about us. We obviously hadn't played a lot of competitive teams. And so I think having that experience is okay, we were that close. We were that good. We can do this. And so I think that gave us a lot of confidence moving forward. But yeah, I knew we had something potentially special back then. And then we just continued to grow and get better. We got great recruits in, and we started scheduling tougher games. We were able to dominate the Western Athletic Conference. And then we moved into the Mountain West Conference, and we're able to start dominating in that conference. And that's when we started getting a little bit more national exposure. When we got Alicia Rose, when we recruited Alicia Rose back in those days, she was the top recruit in the country. She was one of the youngest players to be starting and playing with the full national team. And I think that kind of put us on the map a little bit. We had already been a top 25 team before she got there. But obviously people started paying attention to us because of her presence. She was currently on the team, the national team. And so the expectation was even bigger. And by her senior year, we made it to the Elite Eight and had already been to the tournament several times. So Yeah, you never realize how far you've come. You know, like we talk about, you have to be intent on reminding yourself the good things, because just like you guys as competitors, us as coaches, we get wrapped up so much in the moment that we forget about the good that we do, because we're always trying to do better, and it never seems to be quite good enough, right? So sometimes I
You
literally
ride
have
those
to,
highs. You
yes, I
ride the highs
literally
really
have
high.
to look up the stats and remind myself that I might know what I'm doing. We are winning a lot of games, but you still have
She
to
does know
remind
what she's
yourself.
doing.
Sometimes you forget. It's easy to forget,
I
right?
know. Yeah, I know we've had that conversation many times. But going off of that, you've coached so many players. You mentioned like your philosophy is teaching hard work, teaching effort. How would you personally describe your philosophy, and maybe like how has that evolved over the years? Your coaching philosophy.
Yeah. So I think number one, as a coach, you can know the game in and out, the X's and O's and everything, but you have to have the right players. And that's, I think, what's most important in our success is the players that we've recruited over all the years. And you know, our first goal when Chris and I, you know, got started in this and recruiting, we're like, you know, we think we have enough good LDS kids, members of the church, to be competitive. And that was always our goal, is we want to recruit the top LDS kids across the country, and they were going to be our first choice. And obviously, if other people who weren't members had some interest, then we would certainly look at them, but they'd have to be significantly better than someone who was a member. And it's also because, you guys know, it's still hard. I mean, even back then, it was really hard to get into BYU. So a seat in a classroom was hard to get. I mean, that meant a lot. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't just bringing in great soccer players, but we were bringing in great people, great teammates that would really add to the student body at BYU. And obviously, academically, they have to be sharp and disciplined to be successful at BYU, because it is a very challenging academic school. And we really wanted players to be here for all the right reasons. And I've tried to stay true to that over these 32 years, is to not get caught up too much in a certain type of player, but to have the right player. And so we've been able to find the right players over all the years. And so I think that's the biggest part of building a team, is making sure you've got the right girls here at BYU for the right reasons, who are extremely competitive, who want to be their very best on and off the field, who are willing to believe in a team culture of love and supporting one another. And then this a team that's humble but hardworking and wants to grow, wants to learn, and wants to work super hard. And so back in the days, we didn't always maybe have some of the biggest recruits, or you know, even if you go back in our recruiting, you know, how they rank recruiting classes, we're never ranked in the top for recruiting classes, but we can compete with any program in the country. And that's been the case every year. And so with our success, we decided to kind of stay with it. Why change too much if good things are working? And with the growth of youth soccer across the country, it's given us more and more opportunities to get very high-end players who are very interested in coming to BYU and working hard on and off the field, who are interested in being in a family type environment. And I just feel that that can bring out so much more when people are all in, they're all in for each other. And, you know, I think as you guys have felt, you have a lot of the great teammates, because those are who you're hanging out with. Those are who you're going through the grind with. And those are the ones who you'll run through a brick wall for.
For sure.
For sure.
And I think that's what separates us from most top end programs, is our culture and how we build that. So, I mean, for me, personal experience, that's what's been the biggest difference, and I've just enjoyed every single moment. Anyway, moving on. What has been your favorite game you've ever coached, and why? To kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been a part of a lot of awesome experiences. One of the first ones that come to mind is yeah, there are a lot. In 2003, the year we went to the Elite Eight, we actually won in PKs to go to the Elite Eight, and that was out at Villanova. And so that was pretty cool. We had a lot of seniors that year. We spent Thanksgiving. We trained in Central Park in New York, and had some great memories. But that's one. Obviously, some of the really big ones are winning conference championships. You know, I've had a chance now to be in 4 different conferences. And so all of 4 of those conferences, we've had some really big wins, kind of catching up to Santa Clara in the WCC. Santa Clara knocked us out of the NCAAs for about 4 years in a row. They were an elite program. And I remember thinking as a coach, we'll never be able to compete with Santa Clara. Their players are better. Jerry knows way more than I do, all of these things. And then as we went into the WCC, beating Santa Clara for the first time at home was a big experience. And even beating them on the road kind of was a full circle moment for me. I also remember one time being at University of Portland. I grew up in Portland. University of Portland used to be like a Stanford for women's soccer. Santa Clara and Portland were elite programs that had won national championships. They also used to have the highest attendance. And one year when we went into the WCC, our first time out there, there was 5,000 plus people in their stadium. They were ranked 5th in the country, had the #1 recruiting class, and we beat them. And I'll never forget that game. That was a pretty awesome game. And then certainly the most recent games we've played, going to the Final Four, winning the Big 12 was pretty spectacular in how we did it. So yeah, just so many great memories with so many awesome players. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We've had so many, you've had so many experiences, even like me and Ellie being here for the short time we have been. It's so many cool things. So like going like back to that UNC game, even like the finals of the Big 12 tournament, like what's going through your mind on the sideline during those big games, high pressure, high stress moments?
Yeah, so obviously I didn't mention the UNC game, but that's probably the biggest, right? The biggest victory that will live on forever. In fact, I just got to talk about it not too long ago. You guys were on a clip in front of Roots Tech that's streamed worldwide. So it was fun to talk about that North Carolina game. But I just remember we had worked so hard and to play a team like North Carolina and be the higher seed and be the team that's expected to win. That's something in our sport, right? It's like UConn basketball. You just like, wow, we're expected to win this game. And, we had that opportunity once before when they came out to Southfield and Crystal Dunn scored the 2 goals to beat us in overtime. And they won the national championship game that year. So to have, all these years pass and then to have them come back to play against one of our very best teams that we've ever had in program history. And I remember when those goals were scored, as I'm coming close to the end of my career, I remember thinking, wow, is this how it's going to all end? We've done all of this and we're down 0-3 to Anson Dorrance on our home field with our best team. I didn't see it playing out that way. But I think as we went into halftime, I think we all...
Tell them the halftime speech.
Yeah, well, I was super frustrated, just like all of you guys are. But I walked in and I think I put like 73 or 74, and I go, does anyone know what that number is? And I said, that's the amount of goals that you have scored. You're the leading goal scoring team in the country. You've averaged over 3 goals a game. We're at home. We're at Southfield in front of all those fans out there. All we got to do is get that first one, and we can score 3 or 4 goals. We've done it every game so far. And I think you guys just really came together and really believed it. And, we waited to the last 15 minutes of the game to make it realistic. But that's what made it so special. And I thought we could at least get to overtime. Honestly, no one thought you could score 4 goals in a half against North Carolina. But you could see the momentum shift before half. Right, Ellie, you guys went in there and you could feel that our players off the bench were stronger than theirs. And you knew that. And it was a full team effort to do that. And that was pretty special.
Yeah.
Literally, I got goosebumps thinking about it. It's literally
and we're super fortunate too, and you guys will appreciate this as you get older, is that we're so lucky at BYU to have BYU TV and radio and the production crew and Kate and all of these people who can lock in the memories of that. And so every time you see that, you're going to remember that feeling. And a lot of teams in soccer don't have that. And so we have all of this great stuff that we can go back and remember some of those special moments. And then obviously we have some special moments that we want to create this coming year as well.
For sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
so exciting.
Upload the cut video from UNC video right there.
Insert it here.
Exactly.
Literally.
So good.
Obviously, women's soccer is growing so much right now in the U.S., overseas. How have you seen the game change kind of over the course of your career?
Yeah, it's a very different game for sure. And I think you see each and every year, you can see the younger kids getting better and better. And you know that they're having better coaching and a more competitive experience. And you see, and Ellie, you've probably noticed, Halle, you've been around a bit too, that the freshmen coming in each year are, a little bit better. And you guys were a little bit better when you came in as freshmen than the ones before. And so it is growing. It's such a huge sport. And it's fun to see that growth, and we're starting to get more recognition. It is the biggest game in the world for the women. Unfortunately, we are falling a little bit behind in college for whatever reason. And, we have some committees that are working hard to try and trying to get back up there, because women's sports has grown from a production. You see what happens with basketball. How cool would it be for us to get the coverage that women's basketball gets, and women's softball. And so we still have some work to do, but the game has improved so much at the collegiate level. It's improved obviously at the pro level. And now with the NWSL and the women's leagues abroad, there's just so many opportunities for young girls to live their dreams now, not just as collegiate players, but as professionals. And so I think that's what's really cool to see is just so much more opportunities for women. When I graduated from high school, there was, not very many teams. There was probably only half the teams that there are right now. So just lots of opportunities.
Yeah. So cool. With that, with all the opportunities we're given, there's so many girls wanting to play in college and trying to navigate the college soccer world. What advice would you give to them, whether current college players or girls wanting to play in college?
I think so much of it has to be self-driven. You two are very driven, right? And so it's not just about showing up and training hard at practice. It's about all the time and energy and effort that you guys are spending, or that girls can spend on their own time. And that's what we tell, the campers when they come, is so much of your development comes from your individual time or training with a friend. We used to go to the park with the boom box and our swimsuit tops, and we'd work on chipping. And I could chip better than anybody around, because me and my friend would go out in the sprinklers and do that fun stuff. And so it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of drive, and it takes people that have a strong desire to be their best, because it's to play at the level that you guys are playing at right now. It's hard. There's only a very small percentage now. You think of the amount of girls that are playing club in high school, there's only a very small percentage of those players that actually go on to play Division I soccer. Yeah. And so it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of sacrifices, right? You guys have to give up a lot of things to chase after your dreams. So, sometimes some of it's a lot of God-given talent. And so that's part of it, is kind of finding where your talent is. And that could be in a lot of different areas. But if the talent is athletics, it takes a lot of extra time. And then I think, too, it takes a lot of support. You can't do it on your own. Both of you guys have families and parents who've been able to support that from the time you were little. And so, yeah, it's a big commitment, but hopefully it pays off.
It will.
Yeah,
it
awesome.
will.
Love it.
A little funnier side. So we know, me and Halle obviously know about your superstitious. What kind of started that for you? Tell us about that a little bit.
I don't know when it started. I just think I've always been really superstitious. And I think it's like how if you feel good you play good, right? That's why I've always wanted you guys to have the best uniforms and the best gear. And you just, any little thing that makes you feel a little bit more positive and get your vibes going and the frequency and your energy. And so I think having little things like that just makes you feel good. And, they don't do anything, but mentally they make you feel good and they make you feel like you're prepared and you go through your routine. And I used to take it way too high, and the players then kind of started following me, getting too superstitious. And then I remember several years ago, I'm like, this has got to stop. Because like if I didn't have the right earring, on a road trip, or if I didn't bring the right game socks, it would mess with me. And so yeah, I always have lucky coins with me. I haven't bought a lucky thing. Yeah, I have a jacket thing. I'll wear a jacket.
You have your chocolates.
In 100-degree weather, I'll wear a jacket because that's just what I do. I bought a little medallion at Magnolia because I knew we were going to win the Big 12, and I have it in a little jar. I have lots of little jars and things that I can put little coins and tokens and necklaces and rings, and yeah, I have a lot of superstitions. But I think most elite players and coaches have superstitions because it just makes you feel good and more confident.
Yeah, 100%. As you should. All right, Jen, this is how we end it. So we do a little extra time rapid 5. So we're going to ask you 5 questions, and you just have to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Ellie, start us off.
Okay. Favorite stadium you've ever coached a soccer game?
I'd have to say University of Portland.
Okay.
What's more stressful, a really close game or 11 rounds of PKs?
Ooh, 11 rounds of PKs. I mean, I've never experienced that before, and that was crazy.
That was insane.
That was super crazy.
Yeah, that was rough.
One word to describe your coaching style.
Expectation.
Favorite moment in your coaching career? One moment.
Winning the PKs at Santa Clara at the Final Four to play for the national championship.
That was chills.
Yeah.
That was a fun game to watch. Mm-hmm. Okay, last one. I know we kind of already gone over this, but one other piece of advice every athlete needs to hear.
Believe in yourself.
Love that.
Love it.
I love that.
Jen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, girls. Like I said, man, you guys are living the dream. Look at you, got your own podcast now.
We do.
It's awesome. I love it.
We do. It's a hard life,
Congrats.
Jen.
It is a hard life. It's a good life, but it's hard.
It's a good life, and we owe so much to you. So this was awesome. We appreciate everything you do, and we're so grateful for you and to learn from you every day.
Awesome. Thanks, girls.
Thanks for listening to Extra Time. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Daily Universe Sports, and we'll see you in Extra Time.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.